Mrs. Strauss, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Present.
Ms. Myers.
Present.
Ms. Hardiman.
Present.
Mr. Tripp.
Here.
Mr. Peters.
Here.
Dr. Rosello.
Present.
Mr. Kazire.
Present.
If you'd all stand and join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the agenda? As there is none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the workshop business meeting of June 24th of 2025. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the minutes from the workshop business meeting of June 24th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Seeing as there is none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have public participation. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding any agenda items or any other matters of concern. Doesn't look like we have any members of the public who wish to talk tonight. Joe, you don't want to? All right. So we will move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Meadow.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Matthews for the podium, and we're really excited about tonight's presentation. We are introducing and asking the board's approval to launch a Council Bluffs K-12 online school. And Dr. Matthews is really going to provide a kind of a high-level overview that I think the community will find very interesting. And really, it comes down to us finding more ways and more opportunities to serve our school community. And those families that have elected to go to an online school, we now want to invite them back to Council Bluffs. So, Dr. Matthews, floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening, Board.
Good evening.
It is my pleasure to join you tonight to present a proposal for both an exciting opportunity and a strategic response to our state's evolving educational landscape. The need for flexible, high-quality virtual learning options is growing for families who are already seeking personalized learning paths for their children. We are proposing the launch of the CB K-12 online school, a full-time online option for students in grades K-12 that would be state approved. This would allow us to attract new families through open enrollment in and retain families who are currently open enrolling out. An increase in certified enrollment and funding positions the district to continue providing exceptional services to all students and families, both in person and online. This initiative ensures Council Bluffs Community School District remains competitive, innovative, and student-centered. Tonight, we are seeking approval to partner with Edmentum's Ed Options Academy, which is a state-approved online content provider with a strong reputation for delivering engaging, rigorous online curriculum that is fully aligned to the Iowa academic standards. Students would have access to a robust menu of course offerings that include core and electives, CTE pathways, AP offerings for that college credit experience, and much more. All of these courses are taught by Iowa certified teachers through a customizable and sustainable standards-aligned program with built-in support systems for students and families. Some of you may recall the virtual academy previously operated within the district. This proposal is very different in that our own teachers will not be responsible for facilitating the learning and providing the feedback to the students in the online school, but we would have district support and resources for these students and families. Edmentum Ed Options Academy is a fully accredited K-12 online school, and I'd like to share a very brief video with you to learn a little more about what they offer.
Districts are redefining what school looks like for their students, expanding equitable access through virtual learning. But not every approach is created equal. With Edmentum's Ed Options Academy, schools can offer flexible course access to retain enrollments, help struggling students achieve credit recovery, and address teacher shortages by filling hard-to-find roles. This fully accredited K-12 program is designed to meet state standards and NCAA requirements, and is proven to increase graduation rates and improve SAT and ACT scores. Unlock a catalog of over 500 courses to give students access to core, world language, AP, CTE, and elective courses, perfect for first-time credit or credit recovery. When it comes to instruction, consider Edmentum teachers extensions of your faculty. They are all state certified and specially trained in online learning with subject matter expertise in the areas in which they teach. And they care deeply about their students, which means establishing trust and building rapport are at the center of the learning experience. Building the right virtual program for your district means understanding your goals, designing the best approach to meet unique student needs, and providing continuous support to prepare students for their next step, whether that's middle school, high school, college, a career, or the military. Join Edmentum's partners around the world and let's grant every student a front row seat to learning.
I hope from that short video, it is evident why we chose Edmentum as a possible partner for this endeavor. Their philosophy, ideologies, and instructional approaches align with what we believe students deserve in a high-quality online education. Now I will share a little more information about our possible partnership with Edmentum that will make this a success. The learning experience for students is flexible yet structured through a comprehensive instructional model. The curriculum is mastery-based. It's interactive and it includes multimedia enhanced instruction to keep students engaged. There are clear pacing guides and built-in formative assessments along the way, providing students with feedback on their work, and that is transparent with the student, the family, and the school district who is also supporting these students. Students and families can expect instructional support both from the Edmentum team in a variety of ways and also from our district. First, from the Edmentum team, they will have live access to Iowa certified teachers. They will not be expected to be on their computers on their own all day long. In fact, their hours of availability are Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Fridays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. That is both for some synchronous learning opportunities as well as that asynchronous, and then teacher office hours and one-on-one support sessions are also available for that additional instructional support that may be needed. That real-time communication and ongoing feedback is critical to the success of the students. They're getting actual feedback from a live person on their work. It isn't all computer generated. In terms of the resources and materials, a wide range of digital resources are used in these courses. These include simulations, interactive tools, video content, reading and writing tasks, and articles. All materials are vetted for relevance and alignment with course standards, and all core courses and many elective courses also have something called guided notes. And what those are an instructional scaffold for students. They're documents that include vocabulary lists, fill-ins, and course overviews to support differentiated needs for students. Additional scaffolds that are built in that I was really excited about when we think about our populations of students are the ability to have on-screen translation in 75 different languages, audio translation in over 20 languages, and slide narration and click-to-speak supports. So there are a lot of built-in scaffolds in the resources as well. We do have some expectations of our students who do participate in this. First, one of the unique offerings with Edmentum is completion of orientation modules. These really set students up for success so they learn how to navigate online learning and what their expectations are. In addition to that, we would also have some onboarding from the Council Bluffs Community School District in terms of those expectations and the supports they can expect from us. This would be a school with its own unique school code, so regular attendance and participation as required by Iowa State compulsory attendance laws would be required of students. They would have to demonstrate progress through their courses and be checking into those courses, logging in. We would have access to all of those reports and documents, and the Edmentum staff and our team would work together to make sure students are progressing as expected. Students would also be expected to comply with all state testing requirements. That includes the ISASP assessment and the required K-6 universal screening assessments that are required by law. That is to ensure that they are really following a prescribed program so that they can be graduates of this school. They would graduate from our district with a diploma if they pursued that and finished all of the course requirements. And then finally, because there are so many resources available, we do expect that students are accessing those available supports as needed. There will be layers of support available to students and families enrolled in the CB K-12 online district personnel will be dedicated to monitoring student progress, supporting IEP or 504 plan implementation as needed, facilitating communication, and coordinating counseling services and family engagement. This ensures our students stay connected to our district community and have access to resources needed for their success. In addition to that, there are help desk hours. We know that teacher availability is super important, but sometimes if you have a technical need, you may need to access help desk hours through Edmentum or through our own online help desk. Also, those built-in feedback tools and performance dashboards keep that transparency between the Edmentum team and our school district team so that everybody is on the same page about where the student is progressing. And then, as I mentioned before, there is that orientation and onboarding piece through both Edmentum and through the district to set students and families up for success from the start. Edmentum is also committed to providing quality programming and ongoing evaluation, and refinements will be made throughout our partnership with them. This will include evaluation of course effectiveness through student performance data, course completion rates, and satisfaction surveys. Feedback is routinely collected from the Edmentum instructors, as well as the students they're serving, and from our partner schools, the school district personnel who partner with them. They use both the student achievement data as well as that survey data to make improvements to their content and really to make sure that their instruction is designed and based on data and feedback that they're receiving throughout. That's really important to us because that's how we operate for our own in-person learning. We want to make sure that both the student satisfaction and the student achievement data is making the ends that we need it to. Additionally, Edmentum follows a scheduled update cycle to ensure content is current and relevant. This would be very consistent with what we do as well with our curriculum adoption and review cycle. They also have a set schedule where they're reviewing all of their courses for relevance, for standard alignment, and to make sure that they are really aligned with best practices in digital learning. All of those course revision dates are published, and then just like we would, they make those adjustments as needed if there are updates to standards in the interim. The target audience for the CB K-12 online school would be seeking to serve students and families of K-12 students who are currently open enrolling out of our district or who are seeking an online option. During the 2024-25 school year, there were 91 students who enrolled out of our district into other online schools. We are also interested in serving homeschool families who are seeking a district-aligned curriculum and support from our dedicated team while still benefiting from the flexibility of this educational model. We know that educational needs vary, and this model expands our reach while still providing a high-quality learning experience for our students. Our goals would be to increase district enrollment via open enrollment in and to decrease the number of students who are open enrolling out. So for next steps, tonight on the consent agenda, we are seeking board approval to move forward with submitting our application, which names Edmentum EdOptions Academy as our approved online content provider. We are also seeking approval to move forward with an agreement with Edmentum, pending the Department of Education's approval of our application to become an approved online school. We would not enter into this agreement until we are approved by the Department of Education, but this would give us the authority to do so once approved. If approved, we would submit the application and begin working on key items such as a family handbook, internal processes for enrollment, onboarding, and support protocols. We would also begin outreach and marketing to attract our target audience once we are approved. Our goal would be to launch for the upcoming 2025-26 school year. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
With the extra classes that are offered, is there any way to wrap our Degree Plus One in this?
Yes, we would still work with students to achieve Diploma Plus One, to have college credit opportunities, to work on everything that all of our high school students have the opportunity for.
Perfect. I had one more question. I know that it's live. Is there a possibility to not do live?
Yes, it is completely flexible, so Edmentum really encourages families and students to take advantage of that live synchronous opportunity, but it is not required. They can complete the whole program, the whole course asynchronously.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that, we would still require students to take, ISASP, as far as for state requirements. Would we be pushing for MAP testing as well?
That would be the requirement, at least for K through 6 students in the areas of math and reading.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's where I wasn't completely sure. And kind of for the public, students who do attend, we're going to attend our schools, through this program, they would still have the ability to participate in activities that they're able to within the district, correct?
Yes, they would.
Cool. Thank you.
I do like that the online students would still have communication with our district to fulfill goal number 4 of keeping students supported and connected, and that the ELL students will also be able to seamlessly use this. So I think it's great.
Will there be in-person resources available? Should they need assistance that is outside of what Edmentum can, could they come into the school because they need help with something?
Yes, so both a combination of Edmentum has some tutoring support for that one-on-one, and then we will have a dedicated administrator who will work with a team, and they could access that support in person too.
Related to that, will we be providing equipment to students who sign up for this?
Excellent question, yes. Students would receive a Chromebook so they could access their virtual learning.
Would we depict these students in separate schools, like elementary, middle school, high school, or are they going to be assigned to a specific building, like for MAP testing? Like, how are we going to show the differentiation between the online learners and, where is that going to line up?
So because they will have their own school code, all of their data will stay within that CB online school, the K-12 online school. So they would not be assigned to another school within the district.
Okay. Does Edmentum line up with CB for curriculum? I know we had transition awareness so that if somebody moves from Edison to Bloomer, they can just seamlessly transition in. What if we have some students that decide this year they want to do online and then in 3 months, doesn't work for me? Are they going to be able to transition back into in-person without any loss?
There's not a direct match to the resources, but there is a direct match to the grade level or content standards. So just like if we have a student enroll from a different district mid-year, they were likely using a different resource, but should have had the same access to standards and mastery of content through that grade level or content area. So it would be the same kind of transition.
I just was if we do something first quarter that Edmentum does fourth quarter, are they coming in just completely lost, or will it kind of line up?
In terms of pacing and the access to the standards as they're paced throughout the courses, there's pretty good alignment. It's just not an exact match with the resource.
Understood.
Well, and you mentioned earlier, we also have resources here as far as tutors and things. So especially with the MAP data that we end up getting, if we find, specific students are having trouble with one of these facilitators or something, we can kind of wrap around those services and help support them too, right?
Yes.
Would they graduate with their home high schools?
They would graduate from this school,
From
the
this
CB
school.
K-12 online school.
We would have a graduation ceremony just for this school. Okay?
Maybe a small one.
Okay.
And students can work at their own pace, they're not required to be in school a certain amount of hours. They can kind of work around their family situations and offer a lot of flexibility.
Yes, there is a lot of flexibility. They do have to log in and make progress in their courses regularly.
Thank you.
I just had, to recap, they would be a student in the Council Bluffs School District, offered the all of the accommodations that any student in Council Bluffs receives, whether it's a tag program or if they wish to be in the honors diploma program, anything that our students have available to them, our online students would have those accommodations as well. So that's comforting to know that they would be receiving those additional sports that any of our students receive.
Council Bluffs students, we treat
Yeah,
them all the same.
that's right. That's right.
Anything else from the board? Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Matthews.
Thank you.
And for our final informational presentation, I'm going to ask Mr. Ostrowski to join us at the podium to go through our proposed 25-26 legislative priorities. Ms. Ostrowski, the floor is yours.
You bet. Thank you so much. I'm gonna present here. Good evening.
Good evening.
It was just May 15th that the 25 legislative session adjourned, but here we are talking about 2026. And the reason we do that is because our partners at the state level who advocate on behalf of education and are our voices at the State House most every day of the legislative session, they want to pre-plan. They want to start setting priorities that meet the needs of the member districts like IASB. And of course, in November, they'll have the delegate assembly to vote on the legislative priorities. So what you're going to be doing this evening in a resolution is determining the 4 priority areas that our delegate to the convention will advocate for as part of that process. Okay, and I will submit those in advance to meet the deadline of, I think it's August 15th. That's why we're doing it now. August meeting would be too late, okay? So I included information in your packet relative to the summary of the 2025 session. Tonight, I'd like to just hit on the 4 priority areas you set last year and give you just a little bit of insight as to what was accomplished. So for full-day preschool programming, most of the conversation, as you remember, was around the continuum of care. Now, it didn't get passed in and of itself, but they did institute a pilot program for child care centers to work in partnership with school districts. The foundation here in our Council Bluffs Schools Foundation did apply for the grant with our collaboration, and we should hear by July 28th whether or not that grant has been awarded. And we're, of course, hopeful and pretty confident that they will, because our Schools Foundation and our school district both do what they do very well. So because full-day funding was not widely discussed, in lieu of that continuum of care, we're going to be recommending that this remain a priority for next year. Okay. For equitable, timely, and adequate school funding, of course, there was just a 2% increase in the state supplemental aid for this fiscal year. And of course, that's based on last fiscal year's enrollment, which we had a decline. We are among 157 districts that need, that will be required or will need to take advantage of that budget guarantee. But the efforts to provide equity for dropout prevention passed in the House and in the Senate Ed Committee, but was not considered by the Senate Ways and Means. So Margaret Buckton tells me this is the furthest that discussion has gone. So I believe that there might be some momentum going into the next session. So we're going to be recommending that school funding remain a priority, but we're going to break it up a little bit differently, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. So the biggest movement in the area of mental health services was on funding for basically the recruitment and training of mental health professionals in the state. No monies came directly to our school district. We have fabulous partners who provide therapy for our students in our schools with partnership agreements, and we feel like we want to continue to build and strengthen those, but have not seen the state's action toward funding that would come directly to schools to support these needs. So while we know that the mental health and wellness of our students is important, we will not be recommending this as a continuing priority for next year, but we'll advocate on behalf of our students and their services. And then finally, the school calendar and start date, it really had no traction this year. I mean, the year before we were super hopeful, but this year really no traction. And as you know, this coming school year was of concern because we can't start till the 25th. Next year, we'll be able to start on the 24th in 2027, we could start on the 23rd. So I don't know whether there'll be any appetite at all for this conversation. It was really important for this coming school year. However, we would still like to have some flexibility in that start date. So while we won't be recommending this as a priority for next year, we're going to continue to follow that and advocate when possible. Okay, for our 2026 proposed priorities, I mentioned that we're going to keep the timely, equitable, and adequate funding at the forefront. I think, that's really at the heart of what we need to be talking with our legislators about. But you'll see the first two priority areas. One is really focused on our state funding. And of course, our legislature can more directly affect that. But also, another priority would be to focus on the federal funding that comes through the states. And Dr. Murillo, you have some really great perspective on this as well.
Thank you, Ms. Ostrowski. Every year, we focus on timely, equitable, and adequate state funding. And this year, with the administration and under different leadership around the uncertainty with our Department of Education, really concerned about what that will look like in the future. And we've heard different conversations around, them closing the Department of Ed or laying off several people, and that there would be more funding they could reallocate to the states, and that the states could send it then to the schools. And we don't know what that timeline would look like or how that per pupil resource would be funded. And so really, that it's, if the states do receive these dollars, is that the states would make sure that it's equitable and adequate to replace, maybe if they're not continuing grants as we saw in Part A or Part B of Title III and Title IV, and as they move forward, and we know Title IV Part A is our 21st Century Grant. So many districts lost that funding. Luckily, we were in our 3-year cycle, and the funding had already come through for the 3 years of the grant. But after that, what happens to those, supports for districts? And if they're going to take all of those dollars and put them into one pot and then just distribute for us to make those decisions as what they've kind of alluded to, but nothing in writing, we need to make sure that our state then is able to put in the measures that allows school districts to take the federal dollars and serve our children and meet their needs. But we need it to be equitable, and we need it, when I say that is, I'm hoping that there's not like a 10% or administrative fee that holds back so much, and then they decide to just issue grants out of it, but that they distribute it to the school districts for us to make those choices. And so that would be the push that we have, and we're going to lobby. And as you saw from Martha already asking us to reach out to Senator Grassley and to reach out to some at that federal level, it's so far removed from us that if we don't get it in writing where people start to see it and worry about it, it could be a great detriment to our school districts, because we rely on federal dollars, especially to service our special education students. So it is something that we need to, in discussion with the UEN SUPS, everyone's like, how do we get to that, since it's kind of removed from us? But we do need to be advocates for the federal dollars.
Good, thank you. And then finally, the ever-popular annual full-day funding for preschool. Again, that had no real, I'm sorry, I'll start with that, and I want to go back to the property tax. For full-day preschool, we want to continue to advocate for this at the state level. We know how important preschool is. We know how important full-day funding is to support the needs of students who learn best by being in our programs all day. So that one's a no-brainer. This one's a little different. You know that dominant in the legislature this past session was talk of property tax reform. And so we honor and appreciate the fact that there needs to be important conversations around property tax savings, but we want the conversation and the final result of that to not have a negative impact on our public school dollars. We know that there was some discrepancy between how the negative impact on a school district versus a city or county. And so this extra year, and likely continued conversation will give us a voice, potentially, in working with our local and our state legislators to make sure that school districts are not harmed by the change and amount of state revenue that is received. So one of the things that Margaret suggested is that proposals next year should retain not only local authority and flexibility, but it would be to adequately fund infrastructure, technology, school safety, all via PEPAL, SAVE, and debt levies, for example. And so with that, I'm not sure that, we have all the language down based on what they would end up proposing in the property tax reform, but we feel it's important for local school districts and our statewide associations to have a voice in that property tax reform, which is likely to continue in conversation next year. Okay? John's going to help me get this back up. But so tonight, on the resolution, you're going to be asked to approve four priorities for the 2026 legislative session. And typically, Mr. Tripp, at this time, the board has a discussion, and then I'll take notes, and we will make sure that whomever's going to make that motion has the final four priority areas wording so that it can be presented. And whether it's this or something else, we'll make sure you have that to take the appropriate action this evening.
Would you flip back to that for them so they can see it?
I have a question about the property tax reform. From what I understand, it fell out of the House and Senate, but Reynolds says she's taking it under her.
Yeah, and we don't know, other than what the UEN has been following. And the greatest concern I had, I'm not against tax reform.
Absolutely.
I think we should do the best we can for our community and our state so that we don't overtax. It's just the impact this time, as it was written before, was really about education, and the county and the city really didn't get a decrease. It really, and then there was a broad statement, if you remember at one of the coffees, that, well, the legislators will take care of, ensure that the schools get funded. And there's nothing in writing that supports that, which really concerns me. So that's why, and it was Margaret that kind of pushed for the UEN districts to take this up. And it could be something that doesn't happen, but like you say, it could shift over to our governor, it may stay with the legislators. And I know we have a local legislator that really worked hard on this, and we appreciate all the work that he did, but the impact can't just rest on the soul of the education arm of it.
To kind of piggyback a little bit off of that, I also think like the two things that we saw, at least that were most concerning to me after this past legislation, was that the property tax reform's impact on our schools, but also how publicly known it was that there's always every year a debate over, is it going to be 2%, 2.5%, 2.25% as far as for funding for schools, but more than half of the school districts in the state weren't even going to hit that. Personally, I think that needs to be more of a priority, is focusing on that fact that so many school districts, because of enrollment dropping and under the kindest light, could be just from changes of students possibly taking advantage of, vouchers and other options. More needs to be done to update that 1% guarantee to better meet the needs of those districts that are having problems with enrollment, so that way every year it's no longer a debate of 2 or 2.5%, something that's not going to impact half of the schools in the district. I just think more needs to be done there. Sorry, it was kind of a word salad, but.
That's why the first priority listed has a lot of words, because there are so many things wrapped into that, right? Whether it's categorical or how districts can use the funds versus how much we get to begin with based on our enrollment and changes in enrollment thereafter.
Adding that word flexibility helps that
Yes.
Yeah.
kind of come together better.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The biggest reason we changed to flexibility is so that we don't have all the categorical law. If we have overage or extra here, we can use it here, we can move this around.
Right.
Each
Yeah.
school should have a good idea on how they work and should be able to spend the money that they on the services. that is best.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to see that this proposal includes adequate, what is federal funding right now. I can recall many years when Council Bluffs schools were called into the state because we were at 14% of our student population had an individual education plan. And they thought we were padding our numbers because to get additional funding. They found out that no, 14% was actual number of students that we were serving. And now we're 20% of our students, nearly 20% of our student population has an individual education program plan. And my fear is that those students are going to be left behind if we lose federal funding for our special education students, and that the state is just going to kind of write it off, saying that's a local problem. That's not, shouldn't be addressed by the state. But our situation, we take in students from around Council Bluffs. Not all of the students that we serve are Council Bluffs residents. Many of those students that are taking specialized services are from other districts, and so it's important for me that all of the students that we serve, whether they're residents of Council Bluffs or not, get those additional federal dollars to help with those systems of support that they need. So I strongly support that second priority, that we assure our families that they will be adequately funded, even though they may have additional systems of support necessary for their student. So I appreciate that inclusion.
I move that we approve these four.
Well, we'll do that.
Oh, we don't have to do that, do we?
Not here.
Not here.
Any other questions from the board in regards, or discussion from the board in regards to our proposed priorities? We can continue on when it comes up in our resolutions. Otherwise, any other comments or concerns for Mrs. Strowski?
We'll give this to you for you.
I do feel like several of these do really fall into our local legislators' wheelhouse, and that it would be a good opportunity for us to, we talked about focusing on this at our retreat, to better communicate with our legislators. So I'm excited to see these kind of falling in place with what we can achieve. So it'll be good for our board.
And not just with our legislators, but with our community as well.
Absolutely, yep.
That's definitely to help them support us, support them. So it's kind of like that wraparound.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off Dave, we have found creative ways with our community partners to make full-day preschool possible in our district, but that's not, for everyone. So it's great we have those means, but it also would be wonderful to have the funding, because we've seen the success of full-day preschool for our students, and I mean, that's why we have the Early Learning Center. So just, something I want to add.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ostrowski. And that completes our presentations this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo. Right now, down to business. We have come to the portion of our meeting tonight, which is resolutions. First up on our resolutions list is approval of administrative regulations. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the administrative regulations as presented, and those are 706.1, payment of claims for goods and services regulation, and 906.1, use of rental of schools' facilities regulation.
Thank you.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding these two policies?
Looks good.
That's good. I appreciate that. How are we enforcing this? Like, I'm thinking, field usage for, like, elementary schools. There's, soccer practice, baseball practice, whatever's going on. Do we enforce the regulations? How do we do that?
And Tim kind of follows through. Diane, do you want to speak to, or you want Tim to?
I can start. if that's
Okay.
What we ask those who formally go through the process to request the field to do is have a copy of their agreement with them. So if they would arrive and there was somebody just maybe doing a pickup game or something more unofficial, they could show that and then demonstrate they have the authority to use that facility. But do we I don't know if we monitor them and try to kick anybody off or charge them if they're there.
Sure. I was
Yeah,
more concerned.
it's a public
I was
facility,
kind of more
too, yeah.
concerned with the $1 million liability limit.
Yes,
Like,
okay.
if you are a volunteer coach for Council Bluffs Soccer, how are you providing $1 million liability limit as proof that you have that? Like, where does that come into play?
Most of the places, like through Council Bluffs Soccer, we've rented to them before. The overarching, like the club has those insurances and have those available to their coaches and those individuals. So it's through the overarching agency that people are using it
So is
through.
that you are familiar with them and have that on file already kind of thing, or does the coach need to bring that with their application?
Typically, if it's an agency we've worked with before, we have it on file. Like for Council Bluffs Soccer Club, they've used a number of our facilities, so we have it on file. So I don't want to speak for the facilities department, but if we're working with them regularly, we typically have it
Okay,
on file.
all right, perfect. Any other questions from the board? Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next, we have approval of the 2026 legislative priorities. Is there a motion?
So now I can do it. I move to approve, the board approves the 2026 legislative priorities as listed, as presented.
Thank you.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the presented legislative priorities? Any comments, concerns, questions, or revision?
I'll just comment that the reason they're due the 15th of August is because the Legislative Resolutions Committee is meeting on August 19th in Des Moines with IASB to go through the platform with them, and I serve our corner of the state. So I will be there on the 19th.
Thank you for your service. Any other questions, comments? Mrs. Strauss, please call our roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have our 2025-2026 strategic goals. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the 2025-2026 strategic goals as presented.
I will second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Only that I ask, is the 2025 through 2028 strategic goals? Was that a, okay. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't just through 26.
Oh, I read the recommended action, so
No,
sorry.
it's mislisted on.
Oh.
It's okay. Like the attachment has 25 through 28, so no worries.
Yes, okay, thanks.
I know we've, as a board, have discussed this in our retreat and everything. Do we maybe for the public want to talk about some of the
Yeah,
changes?
please.
Yes. So the goals remain the same, and each year, the cabinet gets together during the summer, really looks through the data and the outcomes that we've had for the school year, what goals we've met and haven't met. At the end of this year, usually in June, we do a presentation for the board of how we measured and the goals that were met. We were ending, the 25-26 school year was the last year, so we extended for 2 years out. And this summer, during the board retreat, the cabinet came in and we talked about the goals and presented to the school board the changes. The 4 goals remain the same, which we know academic achievement will always be the number 1 goal. The state did make a change this year with a screener for kindergarten. So we have to use the state required screener. It is not NWEA MAP, so they will move to a new assessment this year. That's why if you see the little asterisk that's on that states there that they will be using the FastBridge. And we did also receive the grant. Is it still embargoed? We did not receive a grant, but we will continue to do evaluations of how the assessment looks and lines up. So we'll continue this year with the MAP assessment, first grade through 11th grade. In kindergarten, we'll start a new assessment as required by the state. Goal 2 stayed the same around guaranteeing each graduate is future ready. This year, we were super proud of our class of 25 and knowing that class of 26 and 27 and 28 will continue as we begin, I really think, as we backward mapped from, middle school and putting in the middle school labs that prepared them for that experience that they had. They get to explore careers and what might be their passion of a pathway in elementary, 5th grade, and then when they get to high school, they really meeting with those counselors. In 8th grade, they're hearing about it and really enrolling in class. So really excited about that work. And in Goal 3, it's really about providing a successful transition for our students entering kindergarten, 6th, and 9th. And as you can see there, also the kindergarten, we changed to the kindergarten screener of FastBridge to make sure we align. And then Goal 4 stayed the same, and that is ensuring each student is supported and connected, and really feel passionate about that goal, that is so critical for the student's success. So those are our 4 goals again, extending it for the next 3 years, and then also making those 2 changes to align with state requirements.
Thank you, Dr. Merrill. Anything further from the board?
I know I always appreciate, and I'll borrow Dr. Matthews' verbiage, but that they continue to set that bar a little bit higher and stretch
Yes.
to really push and meet our goals for our students.
Yes, yes. I mean, NWA, as always says, it's 50%, and that's really what you should have for an expectation, and we really have seen our students start to grow and pushing and setting those stretch goals for them, knowing that our students can achieve.
We're going to be the ones that skew the data. We're the reason, all right, we're the reason why 50% keeps getting higher. Ms. Griner, did you have something?
Yeah, will the asterisk on Goal 1 eventually be refined, or it'll just stay as an asterisk for the next 3 years, or?
Science?
It could be refined as the state continues to move through. I don't know if they'll eventually work up from kindergarten only, but right now, this is where we are for this year, and we may have to make changes
Okay.
in the following year.
All right, anything further from the board? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mrs. Griner?
Yes.
Strategic goals pass. Next up, we have a request for qualification of architectural design services for proposed STEM school. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the request for qualification architectural design services, RFQ 26-001, for the construction of a STEM Innovation Charter High School.
Thank you.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Go ahead.
We should probably talk through this.
Dr. Murillo,
Sorry.
could you provide an
Yeah, I know.
explanation as to what this is in regards to?
As we continue to move forward, designing and really the creation that we, of the STEM high school, I could provide a little bit of an overview. The vision for this high school is to be about a 400 small high school. It's a non-traditional school that will be really centered around project-based. It will have a different feel to it. It is a Council Bluff school. It will meet all the requirements of a Council Bluff school. It will be governed by our elected school board. It is just contracted with the state. It will allow us some flexibility around our design, our curriculum design, our calendar year, our hours that we service students. It will also allow us some flexibility around the certification of our teachers, bringing out professionals in those 3 areas, hoping that we are looking at the 3 areas of engineer, robotics, medical fields, and then also our P-Tech. and really looking at how do we network and become a small high school for the metropolitan area in this area of STEM. It's now time for us to move past just the concept and thinking and dreaming of it to looking at getting an architect in place to begin the design work. And so we are really excited that we're ready to take that next step. So the RFQ is to request for those proposals for us to look at the credentials of architects and to begin to kind of create a short list that we'd like to interview, and then at the August meeting, come back to the board and talk about the top candidate that we have. So this RFQ is just to push out to get the qualifications back, not to hire, not to select, but to receive qualifications from firms that are interested in this, designing this small STEM high school.
And this is something that we've talked about in detail in the work session. I know sometimes it feels like that we're making a quick decision, but we really have talked through a lot of things and months and what's that? At the board retreat, and we've asked a lot of questions.
And for our community, we have been studying this since last October. We've surveyed our parents of students in grade 5 through 11. We have surveyed parents from surrounding districts on the Iowa side and on the Omaha side, and a lot of good feedback, a lot of interest. Very excited to see a school that's unlike any other, and just to have a non-traditional school around the STEM. And today I was on a meeting with Google and some of their leads, and just talking about the possibilities of what the school could mean, especially for keeping our talented students and students that are interested in this field. I think it was 2 weeks ago. You can tell I'm getting passionate about it because I'm going on and on. I'm sorry. This is my last thing. 2 weeks ago in the paper, the World Herald put out about where the STEM jobs were, and there was Omaha right there. And we can prepare our students, our Council Bluffs students, our Iowa students, our metropolitan students to have access to those top jobs that are coming and flourishing in this area. That is what education's all about.
I'm really glad that you mentioned that it's not just about us and about Council Bluffs, it's the entire metro area that this school is, and that was one of the major reasons why we had started looking at this as a charter rather than a traditional public school, so that we'd be able to support students who are even across state boundaries, in Omaha and stuff. I think that's exciting and that's cool. We've talked a little bit about this as far as like with this specific request, that it's a pretty short timeline for different architecture firms. Could you maybe go into detail as far as why?
Because we've been really working through and working to see the renderings, and we wanted to spend some time to make sure that our community, our school community, our parents, our neighboring parents, and our parents that are in the metropolitan area was interested. We took some time, about 3 months, to survey and to gather feedback. And for the most part, it all came back really positive. We had a great article in the Nonpareil that also was picked up in the World Herald, very positive feedback about that. So we didn't want to rush, but now it's at the point of go or no go. So we do have to have kind of an accelerated timeline, or we would be looking at an opening in the fall of 2028.
Thank you. Anything further from the board? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kozier?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
The resolution carries. Next up, we have request for intent to utilize a construction manager at risk, CMAR, for the construction of a proposed STEM school. Is there a motion?
I move for the approval of the request of the intent to utilize a construction manager at risk, or CMAR, for the construction of a STEM Innovation Charter High School as presented.
Thank you.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Dr. Murillo, could you advise what a CMAR is and why we want to utilize them?
And Julie, continue to fact check me, okay? The construction manager at risk is something new that Iowa has allowed to take place over in the last 2 years. And as we have before, we've used construction managers, advisors to advise, but an at-risk, it would be someone that we would hire that would really almost be an owner rep, that would take on the project, do all the bidding for us, and really, the best part about this is that they will decide the max cost of the project. Anything that exceeds past that is then their own, they must cover that cost. And so they will really help us stay in budget. They will also do all the bidding for us and take care of all the qualifications of those on the build side. And they will work closely with our architect firm to ensure that we are building a very well-designed school and that it is built properly and hold everyone to code. So they do a lot of the legwork in ensuring that we meet all of the state qualifications and the state statutes. And so it really is a heavy lift off of the district.
Isn't this one step above a general manager, a general contractor?
They would oversee, there'll still be a
Right.
general contractor. They'll make sure they bring in the trailers, they'll make
Right.
sure they set up, even all the way down to porta pots in certain places. They take care of all those details for us. So there will be the construction manager for whomever, when we bid the project, is awarded the bid. But they will be the one that kind of oversees the whole project.
Project manager on the side of Council Bluffs. Our project manager.
Our guy.
Part of their responsibility would be to develop the construction schedule as well,
That's correct.
so that there'll be a critical path through the project, and they'll make sure that we don't deviate from that critical path. Otherwise, it would set back the project. So they're on the hook for making sure that the project is on time, under budget, and or on budget. So
Typically, is the CMAR, is that a local search? Is it a national search?
There's many different, I guess, organizations that have those, like Kiewit would have a CMAR is how they say for abbreviations. Sampson probably has one. Lund Ross has one. I'm trying to think of some of the other large that are housed inside their company. And so it may be local, it may be someone, but we would prefer to have someone local versus someone that'd be distant traveling.
anybody who would have a bachelor's science degree in construction engineering would more than likely be qualified to manage the project. That's what Iowa State is good for, is
I was just going to say, go state.
construction engineers.
Little nod to our Cyclone friends up north.
Are we concerned with any conflict issues of, we hire a CMAR, let's just pretend it's with Lund Ross, and now they can no longer get the bid to do the construction? Or is there a conflict there?
Julie, do you know that answer? I don't think we discussed that with Daryl.
I wouldn't want to eliminate a
Come
contractor
here,
from
to the-
bidding the job because they are the CMAR. I mean, what if they are the best construction firm to do the job also? Is there a conflict there that they would be representing us and
So we
an employee
say,
of the other?
I would have to double check on the answer, but remember, they're giving us here is your maximum price. We're paying them based on that price, so they have the incentive to go under. So I don't think they would bid on the project either as a CMAR or as the general contractor if they didn't think they could bring it in at that price. But
Julie-
we'll double check on making sure that that doesn't keep a good company out.
what Mr. Tripp's asking is, let's say we picked a CMR from Sampson. And then Sampson wanted to bid on the project. Because the CMR is from that company, can they bid on that project?
I'll have to
And-
double
Yeah,
check.
I don't know that answer.
I would want to double check
Yeah.
that.
Hard to serve two masters.
Huh?
It's hard
Anything
to
else
serve
from
two
the board
I was
regarding
gonna
this
say.
particular resolution? All right, Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Mr. Kozire.
Yes.
Dr. Rosello.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes, and the motion carries. Next up, we have approval for our selection of cybersecurity grant vendors. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve Arctic Wolf solution offered by Bytespeed, thank you, in the amount of $230,736 for the Off-Site Security Operations Center, and Cox Business in the amount of $240,570 for the DDoS mitigation. Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion regarding our cybersecurity grant vendors?
It'd just be interesting to get a bit of a detail on this, because we use Google, cloud provider who has their own DDoS mitigation services. We also are utilizing, Cox Business in this, so to be able to get some sort of, are these different protections overlapping, or are they going to be separate?
So John, I don't know if John filled you in on why we selected this, but
Sorry.
John Stiles is on vacation this evening, not here. It is a grant that we received, so he's wanting to know, are these overlapping? Are they, why did we pick?
They are different solutions. We asked for both in our cybersecurity pilot program. It's 100% funded, so there's at no risk to us right now. We asked for DDoS. We have a sum from Cox right now. We asked for more just in case we would get a DDoS attack, which is a denial of service attack. So that's when
Thank
people
you.
from the outside try to attack your network to shut it down. We also asked for that SOC service, which is another company, another service to look at your logs and see if anything nefarious is going on the inside. So that they protect on different areas of the network.
Okay.
Answer your question?
Yeah. It does.
Perfect. Any other questions?
It's helpful, thank you.
You're welcome.
You
Excellent.
ever need medical?
I
your girl, but-
do have some questions.
Ms. Greiner, go ahead.
So it says that the DDoS service quickly reacts to mitigate a threat. Typically, like, how quickly is that? Is it within the hour? Or is
Oh, no,
it
it's less than a minute.
less than a minute? Okay.
So we want to subscribe to a service that'll give us at least a gigabit of clean traffic, so that our kids, as they're going out to do all these things, would have so much traffic that's going through no matter what, if there's a DDoS attack going on or not.
Okay. And then it says, I was wondering, are we pricing the standard proactive service option? The package just says premium unlimited, and it doesn't define if it is proactive or reactive.
When you set up the service, you go at different levels on the inside. You can say what your thresholds are for the attacks. If you detect a certain threshold, they will put you in mitigation and make sure your traffic is clean coming through.
Okay.
So it's as we set up the service, we get to decide on those thresholds.
Okay. And then this is for 3 years, and,
Yes.
okay, 3 years down the line, technology will obviously be different. Is it hard to switch to something different, or is this something that we foresee that we're keeping with these companies, or?
3 years down the line, in technology-wise, that's a whole
Hard
new
to say.
ballgame.
Yeah, right, but it's not hard to switch to different providers, okay.
So the DDoS service happens on a back end, so it happens on the service level provider. So where Cox comes out of their service to come to us, they're in between that. They're not even on our network anywhere.
Okay.
And the SOC service reads all our logs. This pilot program is to determine if these services are needed by schools and be able for the E-rate program that we already use.
Okay, thanks. And then, just for the public, they did have kind of a case study with Eden Prairie Schools in Minnesota.
Yes.
And they basically had the same amount of students as our district, and so it was good to read to see how that would be applicable to our district, so.
Very informative. Anything else from the board? All right, thank you, John. Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kozire.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Dr. Rosello.
Dr. Rosello.
Yes.
What say you? Okay, thank you.
And the motion carries. Next, we have revenue purpose statement resolution. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves a resolution approving revenue purpose statement, ordering an election on a revenue purpose statement to authorize expenditures from revenue received from the state secure an advanced vision for education fund and ordering the publication of a notice of election.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion and a second. Suppose that's up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. There we go. So the revenue purpose statement is a statement that we put up for our community to see how we used our 1 cent sales tax. What we're coming out to ask the community is to extend the use of that 1 cent sales tax to 2051. There will be no cost to our community. There's no increase in their taxes. It is a 1 cent sales tax that already what we call save or the penny, which was a big, I think, campaign at one time to get passed.
Oh, yeah,
And so
big
I think most of the community remembers that. It's time for us to come back before our community, to be transparent about how we use those funds to fix our schools, roofs, HVAC, concrete, technology, laptops, all of those type of things that really keep our schools and our facilities. They are beautiful facilities, and we want to maintain those facilities and maintain the technology and the opportunities for our students to have using that technology. And so we're coming back to the voters to ask them to extend our ability to use the sales tax in that manner out to 2051. Currently, ours will expire in 2031. Really I think it was 2029. And then because of the legislators, something that they moved towards, if it was passed before 2019, it went to 2031. And so we felt like it was a good time to reach out and go ahead and extend that. And so we will ask the board to allow us to place that on a ballot. Then we'll go out to a public hearing, ensuring that our community knows. We'll use a lot of social media. We will also communicate in various ways with our community, with our staff, and with our parents, and ask for their vote come November to extend our the use of the save or the penny to continue to upgrade our facilities.
So from the last time that the revenue purpose statement was written to this time, have there been any changes to it?
No, it'll be for the same purpose.
Okay.
And that is just to continue to enhance facilities, really. Boilers only last for so long.
Right, yes.
Roofs only last for so long. Concrete in this weather only lasts for so long. And those are the big, and then also our schools, we have what we call a cycle of replacing carpet, painting, and those type of things, replacing restroom facility fixtures, and those all need to be. Today, we hosted a group from Kosovo over at the Early Learning Center. You could completely see how they were painting, fixing plumbing, working through the electricity pieces that we needed. So those are the things that we're able to do to keep our facilities at a top level for our students and our communities to be really proud of.
A top level and also a safe level. I mean, you're talking about
Yes.
boilers, you're talking about concrete, and these are things that our facilities absolutely do need, and this has not changed from before when it was passed to now. So we're still doing the exact same thing. Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the board? All right, Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
And I will start with Dr. Ozello.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Kozier?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next, we have approval of assurances for the CB K through 12 online school application. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the assurances for the CB K-12 online school application.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding the CB K through 12 online school?
I'm just excited for this it's keeping our district at the cutting edge. It was briefly talked about at last year's IASB conference, and again, our administration is right on it, so I'm excited about this.
And to offer that flexibility to our community and greater community.
Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next, we have approval of Edmentum online content provider. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve Edmentum as the online content provider for the CB K-12 online school.
Thank you.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, sorry, there's a little bug.
Okay.
Did you swallow a fly?
It was this.
I don't know why.
It was this close.
I swallowed it.
Any discussion from the board in regards to Edmentum? This obviously pairs with the K through 12 online school application.
It's $75,000, and the budget source for it is the allocated budget for teaching and learning development. And also, as Dr. Matthews had mentioned in the presentation, this is reliant on them being approved by the State Department of Ed as well. We're only going to use a content provider that's approved by them, so.
And to note, we are, the quote is for 25 seats, and in case we do not have 25 kids interested this year, those seats do transfer to the next year, so they don't just go to waste. They will continue on until we fill the seats.
And I really like the online supports and some of the things that are built in. As an online educator myself, I think that actually is wonderful. So I'm excited for our students.
Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next up, we have Special Education Resolution, District Developed Service Delivery Plan. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the adoption of the district developed service delivery plan.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? All right, Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
I got it, Jared. Don't worry. I got the nap. He's no longer with us.
Okay, next up, we have approval of fast bridge assessments. Is there a motion?
I move for the approval of the assessment budget for teaching and, oh wait, that's the budget source, I'm sorry. I move for the approval of the purchase of fast bridge assessments as presented.
Thank you.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding fast bridge assessments?
No.
This is what the law requires us to have now. This
Yes,
was the
for-
new information that came through.
For the
So there's
kindergartners.
really no discussion to be even, yeah, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hardeman. It is a unfunded mandate from our state that we are paying $17,700 for out of our own pockets. Yes. Anything further from the board?
I think that was a good summary.
All right, Mrs. Strasky, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have Kingsville Learning Center agreements. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the Canesville Learning Center agreements as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Dr. Murillo, could you provide some background on this?
Yes, thank you. This opportunity, we'd like to extend to surrounding districts that have some students that might have, need some additional opportunity to acquire credit, maybe at a little accelerated time, because we do run a HEX program versus it's a little different than a traditional quarter for in the academic world. And so we are going to make or offer that opportunity for our surrounding districts that's within 50 minutes from Council Bluffs, the ability to purchase seats at Canesville and hold them for any student they might deem needs a little different additional support or a different setting, so that their student has the opportunity to complete their credits and graduate on time.
Any questions or comments from the board?
So the board is approving an MOU that Mr. Hamilton and his department will oversee. And the MOU is just so that, with the approval we're asking is that we can offer this opportunity to school districts and enter into an MOU with them.
Have we offered this in the past?
We, Mr. Hamilton, why don't you join me and do a little bit of the background? Because we had a model like this with one school district, Underwood, and we got to talking a little bit about it, and Mr. Hamilton really felt like it's a great idea. Some districts may need this opportunity, but don't know that there's a place that they could reach out and partner with a school district.
Correct. We've had districts in the past reach out to us and ask us about this opportunity. We have only done it before with Underwood Community Schools, and we haven't done it with them. The last couple of years, we haven't offered it because we felt like we were at capacity at Canesville, and now we feel like we have a little more capacity with the number of students who have graduated recently, so we can have additional students at Canesville.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, and that graduation rate being as high is actually a testament to how good the, what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, there you go, effective. There you are, at the Gainesville Center.
Agreed.
Sorry, lost my word.
If I recall, those students that purchased those seats are still residents in their own school district. They are not Council Bluffs students, but they are just receiving the services that we are providing.
Correct. And then any credits that they earn will go directly back to their school district for graduation from their district.
Anything further from the board? Mrs. Strowski, please call a roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mrs. Griner?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Dr. Rosello?
Yes.
The motion carries. Last item on our resolutions tonight is approval of substitute teacher rates. Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors approves to continue the 24-25 substitute rates for 2025 and 2026 as presented.
Thank you.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the substitute rates?
Are we still using an outside service for substitute teachers?
Teachers on
Teachers
call.
on call?
And is this rate, just to make sure I'm understanding, is this the rate that they request of us that we're approving?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Ms. Foster's really has been working with them. I do know that there is no change in the rate. Am I correct?
That's correct. We're keeping the rate the same for this next year. They did not request a rate increase, so.
And it is a company we've had in place now how long?
This was put in place right after the pandemic, so it would have been 2021, 2022.
21.
So they did, initially it was teachers on call, and then they became part of Kelly Services. Now they are, the name will shift to Kelly Services, but it's the same company that we have been partnering with.
Patrick, did we answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, good.
That was the question. I wasn't sure if the rate was us or if that was, but you mentioned they
Yep.
didn't request any sort of raise.
It's something that we negotiate with them. Last year they made a recommendation that we have an increase to the rates, and we did, and this year we had, good fill rates, particularly for teachers. It's always difficult to get para substitutes, but they did not request a rate increase for this next year.
Thank you.
Are the rates comparable with surrounding areas?
Yes. Yep, we do a study of the surrounding districts to make sure we're in line.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else for Ms. Foster?
Thanks.
Anything else from the board? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Mr. Kozire.
Yes.
Dr. Ozello.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes, and the motion carries. And that brings us to our consent agenda for this evening. Our consent agenda consists of approval of Lexia Core 5 and Power Up renewal, approval of preschool community partner agreements, special education case management contract with Proximity Learning, special education contract with Callow PMIC, special education contract with Southwest Iowa Transit Agency, special education agreement with Avena Healthcare Services, special education contract Iowa School for the Deaf, special education contract with Ameriserve, our personnel agenda, financials, preliminary for June 2025, and disbursements for June 2025. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and a second. Any discussion regarding any items in the consent agenda? Seeing as there is none, Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Dr. Ozello.
Yes.
Mr. Kozire.
Yes.
The motion carries. Consent agenda has passed. At this time, I would entertain a motion if we want to return back to our work session. There was one item on our agenda that we did not get to. It is almost 8 o'clock, so it will be a motion for the board to decide if they want to or not. So I will entertain a motion and we can vote. If I hear nothing, we can adjourn.
Loading. Mr. Tripp asked the question about a CMAR and the company that they work for. Could they bid? And I wanted for the community listening to make sure that we kind of, so I know you all would get the information, but I don't know how they would. Miss Julie Foster, who also has her law degree, you looked up online and found that information. If you could speak to that real quick for us, that way our community knows that if we hire someone and their company bids, what does the law say?
Okay, so how it works, the CMAR still has to go through, we still go through the bidding process. And so he or she would send the contracts out for bid. Their company can bid on it, but the bids come in sealed and we open them together. And ultimately, we are the decision maker of which bids we're going to go with. So if their company bids, we decide, is that the bid we want to go with or not? And we can make that choice if it's in the best interest of the project, whether or not it's the lowest bid or not. If it's below the legal bidding threshold for small, minimal projects, they can hire their own company to do that work. But if it's above the bidding threshold, they are allowed to bid, but they're on the same playing field as everyone else, and ultimately, we are the decision maker.
And when you state, Ms. Foster, we, you mean the school
The
district?
district.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, no, that's okay. So back to the matter at hand. If there
I move that we go back to our workshop and continue with our previous meeting.
I second.
a motion and a second, is that something we need to vote on?
Yes, it's a roll call.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner.
Yes.
Dr. Ozello.
Yes.
Mr. Kozire.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
The motion carries. The board will now return back to our work session. Let's hit it for 8 o'clock. That'll give us about 6 minutes of a break to use restroom and whatnot. Thank you.